What's going on, everybody? We are live now, streaming here on YouTube and TikTok. Instagram's out of the game again today. I lost. Well, it's not lost. I had it this morning. I just don't remember where I put it. So it's all good. It's all good. Hey, YouTube, let's see some love. Let's throw something in the chat. Oh, you're alive and kicking. How we doing, Instagram? Who do we have? Pretty fly for a French fly. Hey, that's cool. Cool username. Who else do we have here? Switches so fast on me. Let's see. We've got Hey Redden Barsoa. Oh my gosh, I can't even read today. What's going on, Dustin? 565 Rohit Boopalam. I love these usernames. They're great. Fifi Todaboa, something like that. Anyways, today is a great day. It's always a good day when you get a code, right? Always a good day. So we're going to chat a little bit about what some of the best programming languages to learn for 2021. There are some people yesterday who were mentioning this in the comments. So we're going to talk about some of those programming languages. And then if you have questions, comments about where to start as a beginner or what you should be learning, things of that nature, go ahead and drop those in the comments below. And for those of you who don't know me, super stoked to have you here. If it's your first time, I'm Jason. I'm a full stack developer here at DevSlopes, and DevSlopes is a learn to code company. So on top of coding really cool things, I also work with our DevSlopes Web Academy students. So I help students learn how to code and then how to take those skills that they've worked so hard for and apply them in the real world so they can make money. Yep, because my job's not done until my students get paid. That's what we do here at DevSlopes. It's important to, reap the benefits of something that you've worked so hard to learn. All right. Let me see if we have some questions here. Jack Reacher, what's going on? Welcome. Let's see. Is there JS? Is 3JS worth learning? 3JS? I don't know what 3JS is. Let me Google this real quick. Like, is this an actual thing? 3JS. Oh my gosh, it is. It's a JavaScript 3D library. So, okay, so here's the thing about learning other technologies. 3JS, it looks like it's a JavaScript 3D library. Great. Where are you going to use it and how are you going to apply it? All right. Are you a freelancer? Are there clients who need 3D work done? All right. Are you looking to get a job? Are they using that technology at the job? If there's no reason to learn it, don't just learn to learn. All right. You should have a very specific, like, guided learning path where you want to go. And along that path, what you want to code is the technologies you should be learning. So this seems like a very, very specific type of 3D library. So when I was a full stack engineer at Dell, we had these interactive SVG charts, data-driven charts, and I learned D3JS, which is this data-driven SVG charts. So I learned that on the job. I didn't go just learn some random thing. Let's see, Peterson, fake. Hey, Peterson from DevSlopes Android course. Hey, what's up, Peterson? Is this let me check my, hold on, I've got a camera in my face. Yes, it is. This is the Peterson. You were working on the Walbeck app and you were looking at the post requests with the library that you were using. I forget what it's called. But anyways, welcome, Peterson. Great to have you here. Let's see. I'm starting my computer science journey in engineering college. Can you give me suggestions? Well, first, here's my recommendation. I don't know if you've started it already, but I'd be curious why you're going to college for a computer science degree. The only reason I bring that up is because it's absolutely, like, you do not need a computer science degree to get a job or to freelance work. Like, period, hands down, don't need it. Like, it doesn't do anything. Like, the industry has completely changed. A computer science degree is not going to help your development career. All right. At the end of the day, if we think about it, all a company or a client wants is somebody who can code. All right. A computer science degree doesn't prove that. It's like, yeah, I attended 4 years of a university, but can you code? And in almost every single case, a self-taught developer will have more hands-on experience, which is what matters, all right, in 1 year than a bachelor's computer science degree in 4 years. All right, because college is just it's teaching you old stuff, the same stuff they've been doing for 20 years. There are basic practical skills that every employer expects, and that's how to use Git and version control. All right, and how to use npm libraries. Okay, these are things that they don't teach you in college, and college is forcing a very specific, career path down your throat. All right, by learning these very specific languages like C++ or Java, things like that. Okay, like, do you know what those computer programming languages are used for? Is that even what you want to be building? Learning to become a programmer. Don't spend like $80,000 or more just to learn something. Anyways, I'm going way off on this. That's just because I have friends and family. I have siblings that have done the computer science route, and they spent 4 years and $80,000 and knew this much, like actually how to code and how to apply that in the real world. So that's why I like DevSlopes so much, is because you get one-on-one mentoring. You've got a community to support you, a place to ask code questions. You will build real-world projects, and we work with you to get a job. We teach you absolutely everything you need to know to be successful as a freelancer or to get a job, like real-world practical skills, hands down. Anyways, amen to, to all of that. TikTok, stick around. If you have questions, I'm going to get to them here in a moment. You know what? I'm just going to take a break. Let's do some TikTok questions. Everybody stick around. I know you TikTokers have like attention span of 3 minutes. Okay. It tells me the longest views here, and people stick around for like 3 to 4 minutes. All right. Self-taught GIS. Awesome. Very cool. Yes, I'm a self-taught programmer myself. Most of you useful languages to learn for jobs. Okay. So that's a great question. Most useful languages to learn to get a job. If you want to be a mobile developer, learn iOS for iPhone apps or Kotlin for Android. If you want to do web development, you're going to learn HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and then dive into React. Now, I know there's so many other programming languages and whatnot. If you have questions why I recommend those languages, just leave a comment and I'll get to them. Let's see. See my person. Let's see. No. Okay, that's all the questions on TikTok. All right, guys, ask some questions. I'd be happy to answer. All right, what else do we have here? Hey, Redden Barossa. Could you talk about on how to start with a beginner project? I know that I need to do some projects to learn, but I don't know where to start. So I don't know if you're doing iOS, Android, or web development, but there is 3 primary projects that kind of fall under the realms of all of that. And you can do it across all 3 platforms. You could do a Slack clone, like the Slack app, a Twitter clone, something that you could be making posts and everything to, and then an Uber app clone. All right, that one's a little bit easier if you're doing like mobile development. And then you could build like an e-commerce store, something like Amazon, where you're pulling products in from a database, where you're adding items to your cart. The checkout process doesn't exactly have to work. All right, but anything where you're interacting with an API, those are great beginner projects. And they're super helpful because what they'll do is they get you out of the tutorial mode, right? Because you've been taking tutorials, you're in this vicious cycle of tutorial hell. The key factor to being a successful programmer is learning how to problem solve. Okay, a tutorial is not going to teach you how to problem solve. You're just like following along. So these beginner projects that you want to take on are a fantastic start to really start diving deep into learning how to solve problems and build your own projects. Amir, hey man, what's your thoughts on the new Shopify built JS framework? I have no idea. I've never used it before. Vacky Tech, is Python worth learning? So it is. Okay, so everybody asks me, is this worth learning? This programming worth learning? Or is this one? The reality is, what is it you want to do with programming? If you want to do web development, you should learn HTML, CSS, JavaScript, dive into a UI library, something like React. Okay, if you want to do iOS development, learn Swift. If you want to do Android development, learn Kotlin. If you want to do machine learning or AI, Python is a fantastic choice for that. Now, Python also has a general broad purpose here. All right, it's fantastic for beginners because it has a very clean syntax to it. It's relatively easy to pick up. Programming, learning to code is not easy, just so you know, but the syntax is nice and it's got nice patterns to it. But Python, you can use it for web development, game development, AI, machine learning. It's a great scripting language and used for building automations. Okay, so if that's of interest to you, Python is great. However, I don't know if your goal is to freelance or to do web development, or to get a job. All right, but the industry has larger opportunity if you want to learn JavaScript. And me personally, I wouldn't use Python to do web development or game development. All right, there is other languages that I would use for those, but I'm not saying it's bad to use it for those. You definitely can. Just know that it has a broad general use to it. Okay. Let's see, Peterson, you helped me. Awesome. Thanks, Peterson. You're awesome. Oh my gosh, my dang dog just opened the door. That was weird. All right. Jason, you don't need a computer science degree to get a job if you live in first world country. For example, in my country, if you want to work as a programmer, CS is a must. Okay, that's a super valid point. Hey, Redden, thanks for bringing that up. I was unaware where you live in the country, but that is factual. You're right. A computer science degree will help you either get work here in the U.S. or whatnot, or all that stuff. But I know what you mean, and that's awesome. That's very valid. Dutrund College taught me both Git and NPM. That's awesome. That's unique. That's actually the first time I've ever heard that. Dutrund, that college actually taught you those things. I think that's great if they did teach you that, because that's critical. Leonardo, I'm learning Solidity. I've never learned programming languages before. Any thoughts? Okay, Leonardo, so Solidity is your first programming language? First off, for those who don't know, Solidity is Ethereum's programming language, right? The cryptocurrency Ethereum. Solidity has a very steep learning curve. It's something that it's not well documented. It's so new. All right. It's one of these programming languages that was just made up, a couple of years ago, whenever Ethereum launched and stuff. So I've done some sample projects in Solidity. It does have a steep learning curve. The documentation quite isn't there yet. I would say that is a very, 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 very difficult language to learn for someone who is new to programming. Also, the niche for Solidity developers is very, very, very narrow. Like, there's not a lot of clients looking for Solidity apps if you're doing freelance. And if you're looking for a job, the market for Solidity developers is very, very small now. Not until blockchain gains some traction will there be a greater need for some of these, blockchain programming languages. It's cool. It's just not practical yet, but I'm sure it will get there. Let's see. I have a question. Jack Reacher asks, is it possible to earn $200,000 or more doing freelance work as an Android developer? It is. Okay, so here's my thoughts about that, and that's a very valid question. If you want to do $200,000 or more, you're going to want to build projects that is deeper than just a simple app. All right, because if there's only one of you and you're just knocking out apps at a time, an app could take you 3 to 4 months to build. Okay, somebody might pay you $15,000, $20,000 for the app, depending on what it is, but that's only like maybe 80,000 a year. Maybe you could have hit 100. $200,000. If you do something like build a piece of software where the Android app is like a companion app to a bigger picture, I'd say that's possible. When I was doing freelance web development, I did it for just over a year. I'd close smaller websites for like $2,000 a website. Okay, it only took me like a week to build. I'd, on average, close a project a week, so $8,000 a month. That was cool. But what was really cool is when I landed this client who needed software. Okay, they needed software. This client paid out just over $100,000 in the course of 9 months. And during that time, I was still doing some smaller websites, but it was nice to land a larger project that was actually software related because it allowed the development process to just stretch on much longer than a quick, project like a website. VacuTech asks, how do you check that coding is for you? That's a great question. A lot of people want to program. They're like, yeah, I want to learn how to code. And then they get into it and it's like, maybe it's not for me. So there's two things that I recommend here is one, start with something free. Okay. Do like YouTube videos. Go to codecademy.com. There's other websites that have some free coding tutorials. Get a taste of programming and see if you like it. Now, on top of that, one other thing to consider is learning to code is a journey. Okay, it's not fast. Most people they get into it thinking, "Oh, I'm going to learn how to code in like 3 to 4 months." It's not going to happen. It'll take probably closer to a year. Now, yes, some people will learn a little bit faster, but it will take closer to a year for you to be proficient enough to apply those skills to either get a job or start freelancing. Okay. That's the reality of it. So if you get into programming and you're like just testing the waters and you're like, oh, this is too hard. Well, the reality is you need to give it some more time. Okay. Because programming takes time to learn. So make sure you at least spend enough time testing the waters, like a couple of weeks, so you can start getting a feel of the gist of things, and then move from there. And, learning to code on your own sucks. Okay. It really does. Anybody out there who's done it on their own and they're a proficient programmer, kudos to you. I'm a self-taught programmer. I did it on my own. It sucked. I questioned if I made the right decision doing a career change. But in the end, it was worth it. So one of the things that I really wish I had when I was learning is I was just kind of learning blindly. I didn't really have a specific path that I was going down. I was curious about, is what I'm learning even valuable? Are these skills that I need in the real world? I had no idea how to take those skills that I've learned and how to apply them in the real world. How do you get a job with it? Right? How do you do freelance work? There were so many questions that I had, and I wasted a lot of time because I had no direction. So one of the things that we do here at DevSlopes is in our academies, you've got a mentor, someone like me, to work one-on-one with you, to help you learn how to code, someone you can go to and ask questions, somebody to review your code. We have these different modules in our academy. And at the end of each one, there's a final assignment that you need to turn in. I'm personally going to review your code. I'm going to give you feedback, whether you're doing good practices, maybe some bad practices to stay away from. And then when you reach near the end of the academy and you're ready to freelance or get a job, I work with you to do that. How to strategize your LinkedIn, how to strategize your resume, how to work with the recruiters and negotiate salaries, what to expect in the technical interview process, all that stuff. Okay. Like that's what we do. And no, DevSlopes doesn't go and take like part of your paycheck for your first year salary when you have a job. That's bullcrap. Any boot camp or place that does that is robbing you. All right. That's a ridiculous way to live, learn how to code, and then give half your paycheck to some institution that says, oh, we'll guarantee employment. That's ridiculous. Don't do things like that. Stay away from it. Not a good way to start out your new career. But anyways, DevSlopes, we just coach you and mentor you. You've got lifetime access to people like me to ask questions to help you land jobs. So that's what we do here. I'm going to jump to TikTok, answer some questions. YouTube, I'll get back to you. Looks like we have 9 minutes left. Let's see. Severe's, is Python a good route? It is a good route. Python, you can do general development with. You can do web development with it. AI, machine learning is probably what it's most popular with. You can do games, automations, things of that nature. What you really need to ask yourself is what you want to do with programming, and then that'll determine what you learn. Let's see, personal website tips for good UI. Oh, that's a hard one. That one goes in depth. So one of the things that actually really helped me as a developer is back before I got into coding, I was a UI and UX designer for a mobile app company. So I never went to college or anything for this stuff. It was a startup that I worked for. And so I read loads of documentation online. I read books about it, taught myself, took courses on it, online courses about UI UX design, and it has helped me immensely getting into programming, how to architect layouts and such. And really has helped me take designs and translate that, in my brain to how this would work with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So it does help, but just Google it. React and React Native are the best. They're awesome for sure. The best is in the eye of the beholder. But yes, they're very fantastic. What code should I learn for bank systems? Oh my gosh, I don't even know. I'm sure different banks use different programming languages. I don't know. That's a good question. JS or Ruby on Rails? 69 Swag Master. I would personally learn JavaScript. Okay, Ruby on Rails. So, and this is why. Okay, if you are looking to do freelance work or to get a job, a JavaScript developer has way more opportunity than a Ruby on Rails. I'm not saying Ruby on Rails is a bad language to learn. There are companies and clients who need the, things built using it. But as far as the sea of opportunity, JavaScript has a much larger net to cast versus Ruby on Rails. Is it worth getting a bachelor's with web development? Please answer. No, it's not. Don't waste your money on a computer science degree. Unless like, who was that other person that brought it up? Hey, Redden Barbarossa. If you live in a foreign country, like overseas, and you're looking to get work in the US and, a computer science degree is going to help you, come to the US, get work or whatever your goal is with that, then yeah, do a computer science degree. But if you're here in the US, a computer science degree is not going to help your development career. How do you get into learning a new language if you are broke? YouTube, there's Udemy courses, which are super cheap. There are other websites with online, courses. The problem is learning on your own. How do you know what you're learning is relevant? How do you know it's going to be useful? How do you know what you're learning is, what you need to be successful in the market? That's one of the hardest things about being self-taught. So you've got to work with that. So does React Native have AR library? I have no idea. I don't know. Use the New World before? I don't know what that means. Which React third-party libraries would you recommend to learn? It's all dependent. The cool thing with React is it's a UI library, right? So it's only for DOM manipulation. Anything else you need to bring into your project, you can kind of cherry pick with that. Now, with that being said, I would say one of the most common other libraries to use is React Router. All right. So if your web app or your React app is going to do any type of routing, like changing pages or whatnot, then you want to learn React Router. Aside from that, it's really just cherry pick whatever the project needs. It's all based on the requirements. Quantum Guy, can I do apps for Android with C++? No. Well, okay, let me take that back. C++ is a cross development, like you can do cross platform with C++. Be mindful that C++ has one of the most insane, steepest learning curves out there. Oh man, look at the sun. It's like coming up right there. I got to hang some curtains. Anyways, C++, insane learning curve. Okay. I wouldn't recommend it. Plus the Android community, everybody in the Android community is pushing Kotlin. Okay. Comparing it to C++, it's 10 times easier, maybe even 50 times easier than C++. Do you think Django Python is a good path to start web development? It is a path to start web development for sure. Again, really when it comes down to it, it's about the requirements. Okay. And here's also another thing. If I was to do web development, which I do, I primarily work in the MERN stack, Mongo Express, React, and Node. If somebody says, what should I learn for web development? I would say HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Like those are the 3 core basics. The reason being, as far as simplicity and opportunity freelancing and getting a job, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript is way more relevant than like Python, Django. It's fantastic. They're great programming languages. Okay. There's just other tools in web development that work better. Now with Django, you're working on the back end. Here's the other thing about web development. If you use Node, Node allows you to write all your server-side code, all your back-end code in JavaScript. Okay. Which means you don't have to go and learn a new programming language like what Python or Django does, right? So you just learn Python and then Django, whereas HTML, CSS, JavaScript, HTML and CSS aren't programming languages, by the way, everybody. They're a markup language and styling language, so it's not coding. JavaScript is the bread and the butter, okay? That's the programming language. And so you just can build JavaScript front end and build back end all with JavaScript, so you don't have to go learn something new. How common is Next.js and TypeScript in React web development? So it depends on what you're wanting to do. Okay, so like for an example, I built the DevSlopes website, devslopes.com, originally in React. Okay, one thing, I'm not going to dive deep into this, but React sucks for SEO. Okay, it's a single page application. Google has nothing to hook into because all your components are rendered on the fly, yada, yada. Okay, Next.js is a fantastic framework built on top of React that allows you to take these beautiful React websites that you build and compile it all into static HTML, which boosts SEO and makes your website faster. Okay, so I redid the DevSlopes website all in Next.js, and I actually used TypeScript this time instead of JavaScript. The reason why we're doing TypeScript is because it's a superset of JavaScript. It's safer. It's type safe, and so it prevents more bugs, or it prevents bugs in JavaScript. Okay, makes your code a little bit more bug free by declaring your types and whatnot. So with Next.js or DevSlopes, yeah, I redid the entire website in Next.js and TypeScript. That way we have less bugs and it's all static, so it helps with marketing, sales, and SEO. All right, what time is it? I'm going to go for 3 more minutes since I was a little bit late to the game today. Let's see. I've started learning. How long will it take me to become a full developer? Please advise me. Okay. Kufgem, programming is a journey. Okay. Plan on a year. Okay. Learning to code is not a quick fix to anything. It's not like, oh, 3 months, I'm just going to get it. Everything's going to click and I'm going to get a job. It's not how it works. But I promise you this. It will change your life. Okay. It will. Unless you have really crazy spending habits, every developer I know does not live paycheck to paycheck. They have the beauty of working remotely and working from home. And it is very, very, very common to see a developer who has 3 years on the job experience to be making $100,000 or more. And if you are a programmer and you've been coding for 3 years in the field, like real world experience, and you're not making 6 figures yet, talk to your boss, negotiate your salary, or get a new job, because I promise you people will pay you that much. HTML versus PHP. Wow. PHP, okay. I'm going to try not to be biased here. PHP has a super ugly syntax, okay? And PHP can also do way more than HTML because you can do all back-end server-side code. All right, but PHP has been around for 20 years. It has a gross syntax to it. There are so many other programming languages that can do the job way better with a cleaner syntax. And here's why I don't like PHP for the backend, because your PHP is like injected into the UI to bring data into it. What that means is you do not have a scalable backend. All right. What if you were building a mobile app or something? You had a website, for an example, and you had mobile apps and whatnot, and you built the backend in PHP. Well, with web development, PHP injects itself into the UI. Whereas if you chose a different programming language where your front end could just ping an API and run your backend code, all of a sudden you can take all your server-side code, your backend code, and inject it to almost any application that you want. But PHP interjects itself into the UI and you can't decouple it. All right. And I keep saying this, it has gross syntax. It's just, I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. All right. Let's follow up some questions from YouTube. Then we're going to wrap this up. And then I'm going to get back to coding because I'm in deep into some intense API code and I can't get it off my brain. Let's see, Node or Java for beginners. I would choose Well, it depends because Java has a broad purpose to it. Okay. Java, for one thing, it's a very secure language. All right. It has a very general, broad purpose of what it can be used to. Node is very, very specific. All right. Node is a JavaScript runtime environment. What I love about Node is it allows you to write all your server side code and backend code in JavaScript, which is awesome. Like, especially if I'm doing web, I don't have to go learn anything new. I can just use Node. Um, yeah, I mean, they're both great, but in reality, they both have entirely different purposes. Let's see. I've been working on a game in order to develop a career in game dev, but I just don't have enough time to do game dev due to school. And even when I have enough time, I lose motivation. Any tips? Okay, so MXP. I don't know your life, if you've got family or whatnot, but here's the thing. Here's what I did. Okay, I'm a self-taught developer. I did a career change in my late 20s. Okay. I had like 9 years experience or something like that in regional sales. I was a regional sales manager and I got sick of sales. Okay. I was married and at the time I had 3 kids. All right. And it's like, how do you do this? I had my day job. I had a wife. I had 3 kids and I was trying to do a career change, being a self-taught developer, learning how to code. I woke up at 4:30 every single morning. Okay. I had a really good understanding with my wife, like, hey, I'm going to do a career change into programming. It's going to change her life. This is a journey. It's probably going to take me close to a year. I need your support. Bless her heart. She was super supportive. And we had this arrangement of just, I'm dedicating my life to coding. You cannot live a balanced lifestyle. People who are like, oh, you need to balance your life things out. No, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. You can't balance things out. So 4:30 every morning, learn to code. Okay. I did that for a couple of hours. I hit my day job. I came home back at the computer learning to code. I helped with bath time and kids and all that stuff, back to learning to code till like midnight. And I repeated that cycle every day for 10 months to a year. Okay. Saturdays were my coding days. Maybe one Saturday a month, I would kind of, check out and spend time with the family. But I spent 8 to 12 hours every Saturday and every Sunday learning to code. Why? Because I was determined to make a life change and to change my family's life. All right. So I did it with family, all that stuff. You just have to wake up early, stay up late, and you got to be consistent. And I promise you, if you do that and don't make excuses, you'll be successful with it. Get rid of Netflix, Hulu, turn off TikTok. Okay. Get off of TikTok, get off of social media, make that sacrifice, learn to code, and it will change your entire world. I promise you that. Okay. Anyways, I feel like I got off on that question a lot, but it's a good question. It makes me think about what I had to do, what I went through to learn how to code, and it sucked. It wasn't like enjoyable. I liked coding, but the whole lifestyle, 4:30 every morning, working till midnight, not being able to spend time with family, but the payoff was worth it. It was worth it. Anyways, everybody, I don't have enough time to get to all your questions. I apologize, but thank you so much for joining today's live stream. If you want to work with somebody like me, okay, I will work with you one-on-one to learn how to code. I will work with you until you get paid, all right, doing freelance work or landing a job. I will review all your code and I'll make sure you're, up to best practices and give you a very, very specific guided learning path on what to learn to make sure that you're successful in the industry. If you are interested in something like that, go to devslopes.com/apply and just get set up with a free call with one of our career coaches. Ask questions about DevSlopes, anything you want to know, and see if the DevSlopes Academy is for you. We've got it for web, iOS, and Android development. If you are new to programming and want to kind of test the waters, or you have programming experience and you want a really cool 30-day coding challenge, go to 30daycodingchallenge.com. All right. And we've got these 30-day challenges for JavaScript and Swift. All right. So we just started our other 30-day challenge a couple of weeks ago. So go enroll for the next challenge coming up in a couple of weeks. Again, that's 30daycodechallenge.com. You don't need any experience. All right. And if you are experienced, I promise you those challenges are going to take you to the next level. All right. That's a wrap for today. I'll be here same time tomorrow, 3:30 Central Time. Until next time, stay safe, stay positive, and get coding. Adios.